Hi, it's Wasabi, welcome back to the channel. Got a series of battles that came from an advances. It's FIDDY clan versus VAM clan on the ANZ server. This is going to be playing in BIA mode, but that was a late agreement, so we didn't change our tanks before the battle, so we're using our normal tanks. But in the battles after this, we'll be switching back to non-reward tanks. Anyway, let's give you the overall view. We're making a big push into the field. So mediums have been tasked to go to the rail yards, and the heavies are going down the zero line. But at this point, we're still trying to work out where the enemy tanks are. And the mediums have been told to now turn around and go back and cover the cap area, because the EBR on the one line has basically spotted a heavy push through the city. So now it's sort of lining up targets and trying to compete with that. Where the object 277s are, we're going to make a push there, and you can see the heavy tanks are moving in that area and try and take them out, because they're basically isolated. Try and get rid of them before the other tanks arrive. So mediums have been asked to now pull in, and we're just keeping a couple of tanks on the zero line to stop any push up that way. So the mediums are trying to get across now, and we're just trying to get rid of this remaining 277. That's Flying Panic, who's the leader of FAM. Doing a great job with his clan, by the way, and we're very happy to be playing against them. Let's try and take out that 277, which we managed to do, but you can see now the mediums have been a bit spread apart, so just coming across here, trying to, again, isolate the tanks that you can and get rid of them, get their guns out of the game. So you can see we're 3 tanks up at the moment and about 3,000 hit points. Just trying to get a line on that 5A, or in fact the super conks, etc. You can see the tanks moving in there. But now we're just going to do a push down the 1-2 line. So I'm just moving down here to back up Geordie, and we'll try and get rid of this 50B. Now 50Bs are quite useful tanks in Clan Wars advances. They've got a good solid clip, can do a lot of damage, but when they're reloading, of course, they're very vulnerable. So we're just trying to get rid of this tank before he can come in and basically clip any of our tanks. Now, one other thing about advances is that the main difference between that and the normal Clan Wars on the global map is that you don't have fog of war, so you can see the enemy line up from the start, which obviously helps with your planning. Geordie's just been taken out there, but we'll try and get rid of this 50B. And for some reason I've switched to HE rounds, which is a bit odd. I think it's just a bit of a fumble with the keys, but let's not worry about that too much. There's only 3 tanks left. And the 50B goes down, and now it's just the 2 EBRs remaining. Hexaflex at the back there, and Taggle's on the zero line, so I don't think they'll last too long. But chasing them in heavy tanks obviously is a bit of an ask, but there's plenty of tanks nearby. And they're just getting cornered. Obviously, Ensk is one of the smallest maps. Alright, so this battle is about to wrap up. As soon as Hex goes down, and he's just evading like crazy. But if nothing else, we'll cap. Anyway, he goes down. That's the end of that particular round. And we'll move on to the next round. Right, so this is the following battle, and you can see we've all switched to tech tree tanks. So a mixture of 277s and super conks with 1 EBR and 1 medium tank and 2 E3s for defense, and also for pushing hard. The enemy side, similar lineup to what they had before, with 277s and 50Bs. For heavy tanks, 1 super conk and a 5A, and then a mixture of a bunch of object 140s and an arty, and we've chosen not to bring an arty to this particular game. just firing a blue gritty shot towards the 140. Let's go back into overall mode. So you can see we sent quite a few tanks down the 1-2 line, and we've got this heavy force here moving up the 8-9 line. And the enemy's taken the middle, but we've put in a couple of blocking tanks in there as well. Now Geordie's just fired his artillery battery, so it's essentially that's landing in the Abbey itself. Artillery is one of the functions of advances that the leader of the advance carries and can fire whenever he wants. It takes a certain lag in doing it. You target the area and then it takes 5 to 6 seconds for the artillery to actually land, but you can put in a fair bit of damage in a short space of time. Anyway, we've just come up to this area here to see if we can penetrate. We've got a 5A covering this area, and Geordie's just going past to try and get a bit of crossfire and get an idea of any other enemies there. And he's spotted some Object 140s, and we can see there's a 277 on the other side of the field there. So I suspect that 5A's not alone. There's certainly an artillery there. We've seen the artillery fire go up, but he's fairly well dug in, and we're only just seeing the top of his turret, but managed to land a shot there. And you can see the push is going on the 1-2 line on the map over there, and they've come across the 50Bs and the Super Conk. So the idea is obviously to overmatch and try and put more guns into the game in a particular area than the enemy has, and basically overwhelm them. And here we are probably not overmatched in this corner. Suspect that the majority is out there on the 1-2 line, which I think is what we're seeing there. 2 E3s are being flanked by an Object 277. I don't think that's going to last too long. The E3s are pretty good at covering themselves, particularly a pair of them. And that 277 is not going to last long, I wouldn't think. But they're trying to do a pincer movement there. And we are down 2 tanks, or down 3 tanks now, but it's early days, still 6 minutes to go, no one's panicking. Just trying to pick our time here to push in here, and knowing that they do have some split forces, but obviously we do too, so it's more a matter of them not understanding we've only got 3 tanks here, and then they're trying to come out and overwhelm our area. So trying to keep our health, keep our guns alive. And now Geordie's made the call, so we're pushing in here. Arca's taking a bit of crossfire, but we're going to go and push this 5A, and here we go. There's the Conqueror GC. We saw the arty flow before, so we know that's the arty. Focusing the tanks here though. I'll try and get a gun on the Object 277. Take a shot from him on the tracks. And Geordie's gone there to take on the Object 140s. Gets rid of one. Now we're 1 tank up now, and we're starting to make inroads. We're about 3,000 hit points up. So the 1-2 line engagement is paid off, although we've lost some tanks there. So has the enemy, and now we're basically pushing hard. Now we've got 6,000 hit points up. So it's just a matter of time before we get rid of all these tanks. There's only 3 tanks left now. The 250Bs and the EBR. Make that 150B and 1 EBR. Now, one of the things about advances is you want to get each battle over as quickly as you can once you've basically got the win conditions. The overall time limit to citadel the enemy, I think, is about 50 minutes from memory or close to that. So if you can get all your battles done quickly and citadel, you've got a chance to do that. If you lose battles and then win again, it just basically makes you go backwards and forwards on the win line, which means you may not get a chance to citadel. Anyway, I'm sitting on the cap here to put some cap pressure on. That EBR could run and try and hide. He's clearly trying to do some damage himself, but he's not going to win the game for his team, even though Lex is a good player. yeah, it's going to be a bit beyond him. So in case he runs and hides, you know, we know we're going to get the win in a specific amount of time. And no problem there. The 277's managed to catch him. That's the end of that battle. So let's move on to the next one. All right, this is the third battle of the series. So we're on the Pearl River map here. So we're taking a lot more mediums on this map, including a bunch of CF-63s. The object is to try and capture the city area in the middle, that sort of E5, E6 area. And I think I've forgotten to put turbo on my 140, so I'm not going to be as fast as I hope to be. And certainly can't catch up to the CF-63s when they're on the run. You can see we're putting all of our forces in here. We're just keeping E3 on base. Yeah, well, certainly we're stuck in the traffic here. And the idea is some of the tanks will go to the right where Nigel is going and try and get in a position to do crossfire. They're basically trying to block us doing that and get control of that centre. To get set on fire. But we've got an auto fire extinguisher. You can see it's a real melee here, and to get rid of that object 260 and try and take up that position, but I'm not able to make that cross, and that's the end of my game. Not that successful in that game, but no matter, we're 2 tanks down now. They really have taken the centre. Our C63s that went up there, the only one is remaining, so they've really got control in that area. As I said, they've got overmatch. Although our crossfire here is trying to reduce them, but we're seriously down on hit points. Just following Geordie here, he's trying to come around and do a bit of a flanking manoeuvre here with Nigel and try and catch these 50Bs out. But he doesn't have a lot of health himself, and it looks like they've spotted that move. He takes one hit from Flowing Panic and gets killed by Flowing Panic, so unfortunately that didn't pay off. So this is really not going to go in our favour. It's just a matter of time now. We will basically get overwhelmed. So we might just speed this up a little. At some point they'll do a push in. They've got an unknown number of tanks there hidden in the middle. So they're trying to get rid of that 277, but really that's the thing. Now they go and push into the middle just to try and make a stand, and you can see all the C63s just sitting there waiting. I don't think the 50Bs will be allowed to get their clips off. And so it's just a massacre, basically. Too many guns, and they're splitting their tanks wisely so that they can't get any crossfire from the remaining object. And they know they've got the advantage, so they're going to go after the E3 as well. So it's really just the 277 who's just about to go. And now the E3, and even he's under pressure. So just about over. So that's a loss, which means we have to go backwards on the win-loss line and try and recover this, and then win 2 more times. So that is the end of that battle. And again, luckily happening fairly quickly, so we're going to get a chance to do what we need to do. So back on the AB map, and we're back to our lineup, although a couple of changes there. We've now got a crane wagon and 2 superconks and 2 140s and 1 E3. So we'll drop the EBR. And now we're basically going to make most of the push down the 1-2 line, with a few tanks going to the middle to block them coming through. So the medium's going there, try and take the centre and take control there. Backed up by some heavy tanks, so a bit of fire coming in there. But we weren't spotted coming through here, so they don't know how many tanks we've got on this side. So that's one of the main things there, stop that EBR getting through and spotting the tank movements to inform them about our positioning so that they can obviously rotate and counter that. So there'll be a big expectation, of course, that we're going this way. In fact, they've got a 5A who's moved in position there. He's right behind rocks there, no real shot. And we do get spotted, so he spotted everyone. And they've got some blocking tanks here as well, and they're all in held down positions, which is going to make this a bit tough, but a bit of a stop here at the moment, try and get some crossfire into the mediums in the centre. And the anti-strike's been used and taken out one of their Object 277s, which is useful, and that's again that group of tanks in front of us. And we're just making a decision here, do we want to send some tanks low? We've got some good tanks in sniping positions here, but not every tank can get their gun on the targets. And if we can rotate some down below, then obviously we can change the angles on the flank, so you can see the push going on the bottom. 277s and Supercon going to E3 to try and divide their forces' attention. Now we're 2 tanks up, we're about 4,000 hit points up as well. So we're really doing the right thing here. And the push is on. Basically, we know the number of guns here is limited, so we're going to use all our tanks and try and take them all out of the game. Now, obviously, focused fire is important. Their FIDDYs have appeared as well. But once they run their clips, then they're basically out of the game for a little while. So 4 tanks up, 7,000 hit points in front. It's a matter of time before we get all these guns cleared. So trying to get rid of this 5A here. And then the 50Bs run around the other side, as well as the EBR. Get rid of him, and now we want to go and cap out quickly. 6 minutes to go, we want to get this done as quickly as possible. And there's a 140 missing that we haven't seen. So we suspect that, there he is now, he's on the base, that's where we thought he was going to be. Now we've got to go and take him out, get rid of him. Now it's going to be push from all sides. You can see why 277s are taken over Super Conquerors most of the time, just the speed difference over ground makes them close to a medium speed. And that's the game. So 5 minutes to go. It's a good performance there in terms of the time. Let's move on to the next battle. Right, back on the Pearl River map, and we're determined not to lose this battle, so we're just going to change our tactics slightly, but it's still going to be a battle in the middle. It's the critical part of the map. It's going to be more emphasis on getting the crossfire and winning the middle. Same thing with the enemy, of course. They've got their C63s. They want to take the middle, followed by the other mediums. But we haven't sent all of our tanks up there straight away, but we're also trying to block them. So we can block their centre, then we can stop them doing more damage there. So a bit of a traffic jam here in the middle right now. And taking a lot of damage myself, but that's not the important part. But we're 2 tanks up, and we've got a bit of a disadvantage in hit points, but the idea here is to try and obviously wear them down, and that hit point disadvantage is disappearing the extra guns that we've got in the game. Although BADATTANKING's taking a bit of a roundabout route to get to here, but he's going to come up here and take on the 50Bs again. And one of the things obviously is taking them out of the battle, at least one of them. So unfortunately he's bouncing there, but we'll try and keep the overall view going. So 3 tanks up, and we're now got a hit point advantage. That battle in the middle is being won. That 50B's got his clip back, so I don't think Buddy's going to last that long. But there he goes. But we've still got our advantage, and we've still got hit point advantage. And we're now basically taking them out. And there's still 7 minutes to go, so really just completing the win here. This final 50B looks like he's clipping. He's not going to let it go long, and there's Hexaplex again, his EBR. And he's gone quickly, so 7 minutes to go, so that was a really good result there. And that's a lot of dead tanks. Alright, so this is the battle for the Citadel. I'm in an arty this time, so I'm going to try and change the view to give a more moving camera view. But yeah, the aim here is to try and win this battle, and if we win this battle then we take all their resources for the Citadel. So yep, managed to break away. So you can see the basic distribution. We're sending some tanks up to the north. Basically the medium tanks supported by Kranwagen, and just trying to spot them out first, work out where they are. EBR's going down the K line to establish where the enemy are in that area. And the artillery sitting at the back, of course, and they'll target as soon as they get someone. Now we found some C63s. So artillery is going to target them. Now we've got 2 arties on this in this game, as they do. Arties play a big part on this map. You can see we found some mediums in the north, and the tanks up the north there, which you can't quite see, and because this is from my view, I don't have a vision of them in my particular thing, so I won't be showing them on the map until they come back in range. So the battle up there is basically to hold them and keep them separate and try and win this section in the middle. So you can see artillery having a go at each other. But the idea is here taking map control. And you can see from the EBRs who've pushed around the K line that the enemy have not taken that ground. They've got a Super Conqueror covering it, so that means the rest of their team is around the base area and towards the hills. So we've pretty much taken half of the map and prevented them from going any further. And a lot of this game is going to be about lighting them up so that the artillery can splash them. And try not to lose the north there. So reduce the number of tanks there just to hold them back. And we are 2 tanks up. I've got 4,000 hit points advantage, so definitely going in our favour at the moment. The 2 Kranwagens down the K line will be coming up and moving on this Super Conqueror. we're just basically keeping him lit with the EBRs, and the artillery can punish him. So just holding it at the moment, not trying to push too hard, not trying to rush, get into the enemy guns. So you're not seeing the enemy at the moment, now that they're out there, and those shots they're going into the Super Conqueror. Alright, so this is vagaries of the replay system with, coming from my perspective, stuck in the corner. You're not going to see all the tanks all the time unless they're back in radio range. So now that that information is coming in, you can see more of the tank movements. You can see they're basically being kept in the corner there. The Super Conqueror goes down, that lets those tanks in the south push up, and that's essential. That's let us then focus on the remaining tanks, and we'll take over their base and then shoot from the base onto the north. So it's really just a matter of pushing in, clearing each area, getting rid of the tanks, and clearing out more. And their artillery, they're not going to last long. Got 5 tanks up, 5,000 hit points of advantage. And so really this is just now a shooting game. And of course they'll try and stall it, but they're going to be missing the opportunities. So 7-0 and 7,000 hit points, now 8-0. So again, just missing some of the vision here because the lack of radio connection from where I am, back in the corner. So you just have to watch it on the mini-map to some extent. And see then some very low hit point tanks. And it's always a dishonor to lose your tank when it's a game to nil. So you don't want to be the person who dies. Not that anyone's holding back at this point. This is really just getting in and killing everyone. So, and this result's not a reflection on VAM at all. They played very well. We're really happy to play against them. We hope they learnt from this. We certainly learnt some things from it. We're trying to get our team up to speed for the campaign that's coming up. And congratulations for them as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. It was a good result for us, and we hope to see more of this again.